These are my striking scorpions. They're about 90% done, and I don't love them. In fact, I kind of hate them. So, this video is the story of how I ended up where I ended up. Maybe this can serve as a weird kind of apology to myself, to my striking scorpions, to the universe at large, to James' workshop. Somebody who's out there looking at me, judging my progress on a project that I was just totally in love with. Let's take a look. Because here's one of the normal striking scorpions. He doesn't look too bad. I've certainly painted worse, but I really wanted better. The models that were in my mind were sort of kind of like this, but almost entirely different. Okay, not entirely different, just better somehow. And I tried pretty hard, but I was distracted. I had a tremendous deadline at work, and so I didn't have a whole lot of time to devote to it. And this was coupled with, I used techniques that I hadn't used in a while. Like, I stayed away from using primarily dry brushing. I wanted to do some layer painting. I wanted to do a little bit of glazing. And I don't have the brush control to pull that off. Just look at this poor guy. This Exarch is supposed to be really, really cool. And I got some of what I wanted to accomplish. Like, I wanted the models to be green. My models tend to be fairly drab. Variations on black and gray and dark gray and with a splash of color here and there. I wanted these guys to be vibrant green, but still have this dark, menacing look about them. And, I got there, but I got there sloppily. Look at this headdress. It looks gross. The sword, no. So, what is a moderately skilled painter like me supposed to do, right? Because there's a couple of ways I can go about this. I could try to finish the model and just accept that this is what they look like, because they're not too bad. They're not the worst thing I've ever done. And they might still be better than, I don't know, maybe half, maybe a third of all the striking scorpions I see out there on the tabletop. Okay, I don't actually see any in real life because I don't leave my house. I could just kind of paint over them, right? Just improve the things that I want to do. But I've realized that I don't know if I'm just using really thick paints, and I routinely thin my paint, sometimes too thin. But a lot of the details have gone soft. The third option, I think, is the one I'm going to go with. It's not the one I recommend for everyone, but sometimes, some projects, well, it's the only way to go. So, hello, and welcome to Your Average Bear Gaming. Today's topic is failure and the recovery thereof. So we start where many decent stories do, at the beginning. And the beginning was I wanted the striking scorpions really, really badly. Like, really badly. And so I don't know what happened. I knew they were coming, and I knew I wanted them. So when the day came to order, I forgot. I don't know what happened. But I jumped on like the day after, and I knew what was going to happen, but, hope. Hope rings eternal. And, Games Workshop was completely sold out. Duh. But I really wanted striking scorpions. You see, I'm an old school Aeldar player, or painter. Well, I used to play them. Anyway, I had almost every other aspect warrior type, but I didn't have striking scorpions because I hated hand-to-hand. I wanted to be a standoff, shooty army which is why I won about half of all the battles I got into. Turns out, hand-to-hand was, and apparently still remains, the way to win the battle. That hadn't gotten through my thick skull, but the lesson has sunk in after watching a bunch of people play games on the internet, not in person. Some of you need better hygiene. Come on now, you know who you are. So, I want Striking Scorpions. Games Workshop is sold out. What do? Well, we do what we have to. eBay it is. Thankfully, there was a person selling a couple of lots, which means this person actually bought several of the big set, right? The set that came, I think it was the Striking Scorpions and the Scouts. So this person bought a couple of them, and I know this because that person had a number for sale, a number sold, but they still had a few on offer, so I bought 2 because he was selling them in batches of 5, and I wanted 10. I wanted a big honkin' squad of Striking Scorpions. That seller, by the way, charged a very reasonable price and even included instructions. All the pieces were there. Neat. Before I start building, I just want to remind James Workshop, hey, buddy, mate, come here. Come here. Hey, could you please have stuff on sale? Like, could you just stock the stuff that you're selling? I am glad that eBay kind of fills that niche for us when we just desperately need the models. But I would really, really love it if I didn't have to go to a third party to buy your products. I am trying to give you my money. I know you want my money because you're a publicly traded company. That's literally all they want. They want all the money. And I want to give you mine. Not all of it, just like a lot of it. But you're making it really hard, guys. So I started building. So the assembly process was actually kind of fun. I enjoyed it. Predictably, because this is, I guess it's an elite unit's choice or something like that. I don't know. They're not the basic troopers. They're like better than your average trooper, but they're not characters. Which means that they all had not a lot of them. Some of them, almost all of them, had like a version of the tactical rock. But because they're Aeldari, it wasn't a tactical rock. It was a tactical piece of a webway. Kind of sad, or it was like a stone with runes on it. Very cool, but because of this feature, you have to kind of think about how you're going to, adhere the model to the base, and of course that means you have to think about the basing scheme. And the way I do it before I paint the model because it's just easier that way. My method is fairly quick, fairly standard, kind of boring, but it's hard to mess it up. Here's another thing I noticed while I was building these. I'm going to spend a little bit more time than usual on the building here because these models they're different. I've built a lot of models, quite a few Aeldar, and I've got notes. So here are some of the things I learned as I was building these guys. These models are tiny. The parts are tiny. Not all of them, obviously, but there's a couple of parts in this kit that I found myself having to reach for tweezers. Like I had the model in my hand and I would drop some glue in the spot where I was pretty sure the part went, and I struggled to get the pieces where they were supposed to go. And because these are monoposed, they're beautifully posed, but that means that you have to glue the model in a very specific way. And if you don't get that right, your model's going to look janky AF. Unless you're really good at sculpting and you can mod the models a little bit. I've seen people do that online. It's a lot more effort than I want to go into. And I was tempted because a little less than half of these models were exact duplicates of each other. So really, you only have 5, and there's like an extra 4 that are like mirror images of the same dude. Like, not even mirror images, they're exactly the same dude. You can't even like bend their head to look a different way without a little bit of modding, which I did at kind of the very end. Anyway, the pieces are very, very, very small. You may find yourself reaching for tweezers, and sometimes it helps. What also helps is not being this age. My eyes are shot. Yeah, I mean, I need readers to read anything kind of here. Here, everything's blurry. I also have this guy. It's a magnifying glass and light source. I absolutely now need those to paint. They're very, very small pieces, so keep that in mind if you get your own Striking Scorpions. And I point this out because Striking Scorpions gave me kind of a unique challenge. I've done, Dire Avengers, I've done Guardians, I've done the Dark Reapers, and those had some fiddly bits. But these guys, they're really fiddly. In fact, one of the parts are so fiddly, it took me a while to figure this out. The legs, the way the legs come together. I get it, it makes sense, it finally clicked, but it took me a while. The connection between the leg and the torso is so vague. It's so vague, so when you dry fit it, it's kind of vague, but you kind of get it. You kind of get where the part sits, and so you're like, all right, cool, I'm going to do that. And then you add a little bit of glue, and that feeling of clicking, it's gone. So now you're just like, the piece is sliding all over the place. You know that the way it fits is supposed to be in there somewhere, but you just cannot feel it. And here's the thing. With Striking Scorpions, it's going to sound funny, but it absolutely works. You want to look at their butts. Yes. The way the legs and the torsos connect, if their booty looks funny, you're doing it wrong. You align the parts until the booty, and they have very nice booties, if they align correctly, it's going to look like a normal, if very nice, booty. Any other alignment, you've done it wrong. Another thing that will probably help you here is if you attach the leg to the tactical rock first, before you go and attach it to the torso. Just trust me, it'll save you some grief. Final tip on the building, the accessory belts, the things where the magazines to the shuriken pistols go, and there's like a grenade on some of them. Yeah, attach that to the model before you attach the arms. You will thank me later. It's very tight in there, and even with tweezers, you have to get things in just the right way. The little tool belt accessory has a peg, the body has a tab, a slot, and it goes in there. If you do it right, it sits perfectly. It's not going to fall off. It's great, but it's tough to get them in there. So don't attach the arms. Get the accessories onto the belt first, then attach the arms. It saved me so much grief once I figured that out. As for where we went wrong, where I went wrong, I don't rightly know. I followed kind of my usual non-dry brushing approach to painting these models because I wanted them to look better than average, and I do like the way dry brushing looks, but sometimes you miss a lot, especially with models like this where the arms are kind of close into the body. You miss a lot of the area underneath the arms. And there's some ways around that, right? You could dry brush, you can paint them in sub-assemblies, but I kind of hate sub-assemblies, especially with models like these. They're so delicate and tiny, and so I started with a prime. I took out a rattle can, hit all the models with some black paint, and started to get to work. I mixed my very own black green. I wanted the primary coat, the undercoat, to be kind of really close to black, but I also still wanted it to read as green, as the green that the models were going to end up, because I wanted to do like the layering. Like I wanted to have like the midtones and some of the highlights, so that you could see that the model was green, but the shadows were still really, really dark. But I wanted those shadows to be dark, dark, dark green, not black. And that went fairly well. Yeah, I liked it. I liked the color. I liked everything about it. Everything was fine. I didn't base coat like the the hair dress thing. I didn't do that with the weapons either because I wanted them to be kind of brighter, but it was just the body that I did. Where things started kind of to go wrong was with establishing the midtones for the green. I didn't want the normal green. I still wanted it to be a little darker, and I went with Vallejo's Angel Green. It's a very nice green color. I like the way it looks. Yeah, but I didn't want it to be like, I wanted this to be the highlight color. I didn't want this to be the medium tone, the mid-tone. And so I mixed up kind of a batch of like less black mixed in with that color, and it was fine. But as I established the midtones, I just wasn't exactly sure where I wanted them to go. There was still a lot of really, really dark stuff. And I ended up somehow not mixing it well, or the paint that I had mixed kind of started separating, and so I ended up with a brighter green for the midtone that I intended. So, I kept going. I was like, you know what, this is going to derail me. And at parts, now, let me rephrase that. I was really excited to paint these. I was just, I really enjoyed almost all of it. Like the model itself, they're great to paint. It's just me. Other problems started surfacing when I started working with the weapons. I insist on white weapons for Aeldar because I hate myself, and they just never look right. Sometimes they look less bad than other times, but I haven't gotten the right. But I still want to get there, right? You can't get better if you don't try to get better. If you just do exactly what you did before, well, you're going to get better at doing that. But if what you're doing before wasn't very good, you're going to stay not very good, right? So I want to be a better painter. I want to improve. So yeah, that gave me some trouble. And then the yellows, man, for the headdress and for the little tassels, things that they have on some parts of their body, man, the yellow was tough. My paints were either crusty or they were absolutely transparent. Like, I couldn't get the mix right. And they were too small to dry brush, so I had to do the best I could, and the best I could wasn't particularly good. But at that point, it wasn't 90%. I was, getting there, but not quite there. At that point, I let them rest for a long time because I had that huge project at work. And then when I finished it a couple days ago, sorry, I'm having flashbacks. I finished it a couple days ago, and I was like, yes, I finally have some time. I had let them sit for like 2 weeks without even touching them. They were just sitting here on my desk. Please paint us, finish us, put us in your, display case. So I did. I came back with fresh eyes. Well, fresh eyes. And that was just a few minutes ago, and I started kind of getting some of the details on the sword, some of the details on the magazines for the shuriken pistols. I started doing the little gems for the Aeldar soul stones, or whatever they're called. And you know what those fresh eyes told me? Those fresh eyes told me that I wasn't happy with the way they looked. And that's when I had to make the choice. What to do, right? And the thing is, I could have just finished them. Correct? That's my normal approach. Is just finish it. It doesn't matter. All you need is good enough. But I'm tired of that approach. I'm tired of just being a meh painter. I want to get better. So that's when this happened. I'm kind of sad, but this right here, it's not failure. Not necessarily. This is an opportunity. This is a second chance. I don't know that when I paint this again, I don't know if I'm going to do better. there's a decent chance I'll do even worse and then I'll regret this all kinds of ways. But there's a non-zero chance that I actually do a good job, or at least a better than this job. And that means more work for me, but it's not supposed to be work. It's supposed to be fun. And I'm going to have fun, damn it. I will, even if it's the last thing I do. Now, yeah. You know, I'm approaching these guys with the wrong attitude. You know, most of the models that I have painted in the past few years, my approach is to finish, not to do a great job. It's just to get them tabletop ready. And that limits the amount of learning I can do with each project. And if I'm not learning, what am I doing? I should at least be having fun. And I do occasionally have fun. But my lack of results are kind of draining my fun. So, I'm going to try again. And I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm not going to be butthurt about it. This is a chance to do it right. Or at least do it better. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that you need to do. I'm not even sure I'd recommend it. What I will say is that it's right for me, and it might be right for you. It depends on what your goals are. Are your goals to get an army or a squad ready for the tabletop, and oh, by the way, the game is this weekend? You know what? Yeah. Get them ready. Get them on the table. But if you want to take your time, if you want to be a better painter, if you want to be proud of your models, maybe take a different approach, right? Maybe tabletop ready isn't the ultimate goal. Maybe that's where you end up, and that's fine too, because there's a skill to this, and you know, maybe I'm skill capped. I don't know, but I won't know until I try, and maybe that's true for you. As a side lesson, right before I close this video, I want to kind of warn you about a topic that I've already kind of talked about a little bit, and that's FOMO. You see, as it turns out, I bought these from the eBay person, and I started working on them, and I want to say about a week and a half after I received them, Games Workshop started selling them on their web store. Like, you can go there and buy them now. Actually, I don't know that you can. Hang on a second. Yep, here they are. They're available. $75. Oh, it's for 10. Okay, I guess. Yeah. I was kind of thinking that that release wouldn't happen for another, 6 months, maybe a year. And I was wrong. And I didn't have to be. If I just waited till like a few weeks ago, I wouldn't have had to buy them from eBay. I would have gotten them from Games Workshop. So maybe I let fear of missing out drive the bus a little bit on it. But you know what? I don't regret it. I just wish I had made better decisions. But hey, at least now they're there, and I can get another set if I botch these really, really bad, and I'm just like, oh, I can't. I'm gonna try again. At least I know I can get them. So that's it. That's all I got. I hope this doesn't happen to you, but if it does, I hope you take it as an opportunity for reflection, opportunity to figure out what your goals are, and then to commit yourself to whatever they may be. Whether they be getting your army tabletop ready, whether they be for you to create a work of art, or whether they be to create that model that is so ghastly that it replaces that one Space Marine with that really thick paint that everyone sees, like, oh, that's the one, that's the bad one. Yeah. Maybe that's your goal. Maybe your goal is to replace that meme image. Cool, have at it. Yeah, a failure is only a failure if you let it stay that way. That's all I have for you this time around. This has been Your Average Bear Gaming. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon. Be nice to yourselves and each other.